Hello YouTube, welcome back to another mod blog episode with me, FS Farmyard Dog. Before we get into things, I'd just like to say I am going to try and bring more fresh content to the channel on a regular basis when I can. So I'd just like to say thanks for the support on the channel so far. I know I released a few pre-recorded videos in the last week or so, but I thought I might as well share them as you might get some useful things out of them. Now today we have a completely fresh mod. Actually we're looking at two mods. A lot of you guys will know this is probably one of the most popular maps in the community since FS15, and it's Bullet Bill's Coldborough Park Farm. And today it has been optimised to work with the seasonal mod by Realism Modding. Now the season mods adds all sorts of new content into the game and brings a year rollover of weather and different seasons that affect the farm, much like in real life. Now we'll have a quick look at the menus first to get a little insight into how things work. So just below the normal HUD in the top right hand corner, I'm able to get a full week forecast up for what weather we should expect. Now this week looks very rainy, but we do have some sun in there mixed in. Now above the weekly forecast is a small icon that shows that it's about 8 degrees and the ground is about at -1. That is because we're in early spring and we've just come through the winter, and as you can see there is still a lot of snow on the ground from the past winter. The more comprehensive menu can be brought up as an overview menu. Now the overview menu shows all of the crops on the left hand side and what temperature they are workable, and you get this graph to show the seasons at the top and when you can sow and plant as opposed to when you can harvest them. And of course you have the snow column right on the right hand corner or the right hand side, and basically nothing is workable. The only sort of work you can do is clear the ground and do a little bit of logging. Now this is probably more of how the mod's going to work in your game, and this is a fantastic menu as it brings a little bit more user control to how you like to play it. So we've got the seasonal instructions, yes, no, on and off, simple, menus, help menus, temperature scale, Celsius, Fahrenheit, whatever you would prefer. Now the seasonal length is probably one of the most important parts of this menu. We can set the seasonal length to 3 days, so each season will be 3 in-game days. So winter will be 3 days and summer and so on. Or we can set that to 6 days, 9 days or 12 days. Now currently I have it as 3 days, as I plan to do a quick overview of all the seasons in this video, and that will show them the fastest snow mode on and off and snow tracks on and off. Crop moisture as well affects how much yield you earn. So we are at the end of winter. Now winter you can get snow, you will not get snow every year. It's sort of a random equation to if you get snow or not, but I did speed up the time using Upside Down's fast forward mod to get snow, so I could start the video off with the snow textures. Now the snow is probably one of the most interactive seasons that you can have. I'll just turn off the radio, I apologise for that. So the snow is probably the most interactive part. Of course the tractors do have a cold start added to them for a bit more realism. Now the snow, as you can see, I've cleared a lot of the snow in the yard, just testing out the mods and for a little bit of fun. You can clear the snow using the in-game silage plough or leveler, and that is simply just by putting the plough down and pushing the snow along. Now the snow does work very well, much like the silage texture. I do believe that is possibly where it was used from, or where the scripts have been used from, as it does move in the same way as the chaff or silage in the bunkers. But you are able to create these sort of large snow walls, much like real life. And if I just jump out, you can see all the snow's been sort of heaped up, much like this. One thing to bear in mind with the snow is it does affect the handling dramatically. So the tractor wheels do skid and slide quite dramatically in places, And if you can see, if I go forward and put my brakes on fairly sharply, the tractor will continue to slide, which is something to bear in mind with driving. It is quite fun in the pickup truck, I've got to admit. So the snow is nice and workable. The snow can also be used with a normal bucket on the front loader tractor. So that does work in the same way as the snowplow or leveler. It just collects in the bucket, and you can either dump that straight into a trailer. Any in-game trailer will work. As you can see, it goes straight into the trailer like that. Or you are able to create more controlled heaps with the bucket, just like that. Now when you have snow tracks on, your tractors do leave tracks in the snow, but as my snow has melted down one level, it doesn't leave the tracks quite so deep. So when you have the full snow level, you'll be able to see everywhere you've driven will be sort of riveted out with your tyre marks. And the first bits to melt in the spring is all the places you've compacted, so any tyre tracks will melt first before anything else. Now I do plan to give you a rough overview of how the seasons change your map. So here is the map in sort of the winter textures, as I'm going to call them. You can see all of the hedgerows have sort of they've breached back for winter, and they've they're all gone down to twigs, much like the slightly larger shrubs. And you can see all the trees are bare without any leaves, and sort of hibernating for the winter, much as sort of the grass does, and so would your fields if you had anything planted. Now I do plan to hopefully speed up the time and show you the summer textures and how it changes throughout the spring before. So hopefully I'll find a suitable area. I'm bobbing a boat on the car. So using Upside Down's mod, I will go through a few days, and like I say, I have got it set to 3 days. So after 3 days, it will change season. Now this is the start textures for spring. You may have noticed the snow melted very abruptly. That does not happen if you have it on a much more sensible time. Of course, 1,200 times does make the game sort of synchronize and melt the snow quickly. But as you can see, where I have piled up the snow is still lingering about and still melting, much like you'd see in real life. So these textures are rich in sort of lime greens. Everything's starting to blossom again for spring, and these textures will slowly change if I carry on speeding them up. So hopefully it won't synchronize too much if I do it in small bursts, but we do have to get through 3 whole days cycles before the full summer textures will come in. So hopefully this will give you a rough overview. Again, here is sort of another weather type we can expect. We can expect a lot of fog and a lot of rain, and just before winter you'll get this sort of exact same texture with the dark skies in the distance over the hills, but this will be snowflakes. So it's done very, very nicely, and brings a lot more interaction with the game, and more of an aesthetic to how it would be on the farm. So unfortunately I have made the game synchronize again, but hopefully that will mean that we are getting round to the summer cycle very shortly. Now as you can see, just after the synchronizers, the trees have gone to a much richer green colour. I will speed up to the day so you're able to see it a lot better. So compared to the lime green textures, all of the fields are a lot darker green, as they've been watered all over spring, and the warmer weather, as you can see in the top corner, we're now up to 11 degrees, and the ground's holding its heat at 12 degrees. Everything's started to grow, and all the leaves are back on all of the hedgerows and all of the shrubbery. Now if I will continue again, through the seasons, I feel like this is hopefully a decent enough area to show you that the majority of the textures. You can see the grass has started to grow in the right hand field there. Of course, if you would have crops, this mod does affect all sorts of aspects of the game, so your crops do grow better, of course, in the summer, and summer would be the main harvest point for you. Moisture on the crops affects yield. Breeding seasons are more realistic, so your cattle will be a lot more productive according to sort of the weather forecast, and that will affect them. And growth is adapted, of course. Through winter we're not going to be growing a lot whatsoever, so that does sort of edge the game towards you making more decisions. So you might do a lot more logging through the winter as opposed to in the spring, when you'll be starting to plant and harvest, and all that sort of goodness will start to happen as you go into the summer. Now this is the sort of final texture pack within the seasons mod that I'd like to show you. So you can see all the trees are rich in sort of oranges, yellows, and there are some sort of lighter greens left there, but getting ready for autumn. Probably one of my favourite seasons for the aesthetics. I know this would work very well with sort of, if you're into screenshots or video making, sort of the panoramic shots. I do really like this against the machinery, and again it contrasts with your fields quite a lot. So I hope this is given sort of a brief overview or a raw overview of how the seasons change throughout the year, and sort of the only other changes that it makes is grass bales do rot if you have this enabled, so that is something to look out for. And everything else I really note, everything else I sort of noted before. You've got daylight saving times, so at 6 o'clock in the winter it will be darker, as opposed to in the summer, sort of getting 9:30, 10 o'clock within the game. The sun will still be going down in the distance. So again, very realistic to real life sort of thing. So I'm going to wrap up the video here. If you feel like downloading Coldborough Park Farm fully optimized for the seasons mod and the seasons mod, the links will be down below if you're unable to find that on the official mod hub. Thanks for all the support on the channel. Hope you enjoyed, and bye for now.